inside of today's video, I'm going to give you guys some top tips to push towards your first rank 35. So these are going to be some general tips. It's also going to be some tips of the meta and all other things as well. But if you want me to really dive into specific brawler guides to get that first rank 35, because the update is dropping soon and you only have less than 2 weeks to get that rank 35 exclusive pin. So I'm going to give you guys a bunch of guides to hopefully get that before the update drops. So let's just jump into it then. So the first one is to actually just push a brawler that you're good with, that's actually somewhat meta. So the reason why I say this is because at rank 30 you can probably just play the brawlers that you're good at and you'll get away with it most of the time. But if you're trying to push towards rank 35, you can't just do this. Like, for example, I can't just play my favorite brawler Hank, because he's going to get destroyed by everything and I'm going to need some pros to carry me. So play brawlers. You can definitely relate to my tier list that I did a couple of days ago, but are at least above C tier, I would say, and that you're actually good with. So a good judgment as well. If you're not actually sure what you're good with, just take a look at your mastery progression, because you can see what brawlers you play the most. Typically, those are going to be the brawlers that you're best with. For example, for me, it's like Gene, Rico, Daryl, etc. Those are going to be the brawlers that I know that I'm going to be able to win a lot of my matchups with. So yeah, just take both of it into consideration and don't just blindly just pick Edgar, because it's not going to work. So the next point will annoy a lot of people, because it's actually probably the hardest thing to do in Brawl Stars, is to find a good team. So I'm not talking about finding pro players, you know, finding the best of the best ladder warriors. You can just find some decent, competent players that are just good on some of the meta brawlers and you're good to go. So there's multiple ways to do this. I already addressed this in yesterday's video if you want to check that out. But the best way is to join Discord servers, is to just play a lot of Brawl Stars, even with randoms, add the good randoms, play with them again, join active clubs. Those are the best things. But again, I can't just lie to you and say, well, you can push to a rank 35 without having good teammates, because you do need good teammates. Again, they don't have to be game-breaking pro players, you know, world champions, etc. You can just find some decent, competent players that aren't lagging, that, again, that are just at least accomplished with a few brawlers. That's the way to go. But yeah, you have to find a good team that is consistent, or else you can never push rank 35. Next tip will definitely come through experience, but this is a vital tip, and especially if you're not the best, just knowing your matchups is literally a cheat code to winning some games. So the reason why I say this is because most people know their matchups, right? If you main a couple of brawlers, you know which brawlers you're best into, which you get counted against the most. It's just essential, because if you know your best matchup, for example, the really easy one to know, if you're playing Mortis, you see a Dynamite, you go after that Dynamite consistently. Don't just be blindsided and go after, you know, just your first initial matchup that's going to be like a Griff, Shelly, etc. You're going to get countered. Feed your super from the Dynamite and win. That's a tip that I've just told you guys forever, but it is a cheat code and it will win you a lot of games. For example, in Brawl, if you go down that easy matchup lane, win your lane, get a quick goal, that can literally win you the game, because after that you can just put the ball into the corner and defend for the rest of the game. So it's definitely vital. Learn your matchups with the brawler that you want to push and you should be good to go, because then you can just easily win. It doesn't even matter how skillful you are, because if you hard counter that brawler so much, you'll just win the matchup easily. So the next tip to push an easy rank 35 is to learn the meta per map. So the reason why I say this is because a big common misconception is that people can just blindly go certain brawlers on whatever map they see in rotation, and it just won't work. The way that Brawl Stars is actually is set for a few brawlers with no exceptions. It's just Mo and Kenji. But outside of that, there's always a meta on a specific map. For example, if it's super bushy like Retina and Brawl, it's going to be a bunch of Jackies and Bulls and all of these tanks. So that's where you can push those type of brawlers. If it's a more open map, Shooting Star, or just, I don't know, just really open gem grab map, it's going to be more the snipers, right? So it's all about learning the meta for each map. So whether you just play, so for example, if you're like 800 trophy range, I would say you'll be able to develop the meta. If you face off against a couple of really sweaty compositions, start to try and learn what they're going and start trying to either counter it or just take a few of their brawlers. And the higher you get up in trophies, the more sweaty the teams you'll face, but you'll also be able to learn what composition works best and what brawlers you're seeing the most, and then you can just copy that into your composition. It's really key to know this. Of course, I'll probably do a future video on this to really break down the best map for every single brawler, etc. But it's just good to know, because don't just force go in your favorite brawler on a certain map, because it just won't work. So moving on to the next tip, it's just a quick Showdown one, because again, I'm not going to claim that I'm a Showdown main, and it's actually pretty hard to get rank 35s in Showdown without teaming. But if it's one brawler, I would say it's Lily. She's really unskillful right now because of the Vanish gadget. You can just spam it 4 times, cheat death 4 times in Showdown, which is great. She's a great 1v1 brawler as well. And like I said, no skill, literally no skill. So all you need to do in Showdown is make sure that you're keeping your win streak. I believe it's above 4th place, and you just keep the win streak every single time. You can just camp in bushes. You can do whatever. It's Showdown. I haven't got the best tips in the world, but I know Lily is so broken in Showdown. Next tip is to do more with your mental. So I always talk about all of these different ways you can win inside of Brawl Stars, mechanics, etc. But a key tip definitely is to keep your patience when you push rank 35. So even myself, when I do these rank 35 pushes with a brand new brawlers, I would say sometimes my patience is very low, because it can be stressful, especially if you lose a couple of games in a row when you're at high trophies. You know that you're basically wasting your own time in a sense, because if you would have won that game, you would have done the rank 35 quicker, etc. You probably know if you pushed any trophies, right? But you just got to stay patient. You got to know and expect to lose. Even the pros probably do expect to lose sometimes, because if you just get this really tilted mentality, it's not going to end well. If you play any video game, when you're tilted, you start to make mistakes. You start to just get angry and do things you wouldn't have done beforehand. So just stay patient. You know, if you're tilting, take a break, drink some water, touch grass. I don't know. Don't just like sit there all day and expect to get that rank 35. You've got to be aware that rank 35s are a long process or a long grind, and with every single loss, at least you can use it as a lesson on what not to do. For example, you make a really bad mistake, well, just don't make that mistake again. You know what I mean? You'll learn from it. So just bear that in mind. Stay patient. The next tip I'm going to give you guys is probably the most essential, especially before the update, and not many people really realize this. So whenever there's new game modes and new events, normally the matchmaking pool is just super limited and super casual friendly, so it's a lot easier to push trophies. So this is the perfect time, because there's 3 new game modes and there's always 2 in rotation, so you can abuse either one of these. So there's Payload, Volley Brawl, and there's Present Plunder. So if you want me to do a video looking at the best brawlers for those game modes, I can do that. But trust me, it's by far the easiest when you play these game modes, mainly because a lot of casuals will just go in quickly just for a little bit of fun. You know, they're brand new, they want to try it out. And if you've got a really sweaty team, you'll just destroy these randoms, because they won't have a coordinated composition, they won't have much synergy, and you can just pub stomp them, just absolutely wreck them. And again, when I play with randoms, I've faced a few sweaty teams, but then there's not actually that many, because the sweaty teams would rather play, I don't know, 5 versus 5, they'd rather play Brawl Ball, they'd rather play Gem Grab, etc. Whilst you can just farm these noobs that are just queuing up for randoms so easily. Another tip is what I've expressed through my general pushing guide yesterday, but I couldn't make this guide without just highlighting the importance of win streaks. So ever since win streaks were introduced, trophy inflation has just gone through the moon. Rank 35s have just been so easy to get, and that's why I've not really pushed too many myself, because I don't see the point in it. But I've got to highlight just how important they are, because again, if you're playing at high trophies, even especially I would say above 1100, if you ever get to that point, if you lose, it can take you a long time, especially without win streaks, to just go back up in trophies. You don't gain many without win streaks, but with win streaks, when you get 5 wins, you get +5 trophies, which at high matchmaking at 1200, that's 8 trophies you're going to gain instead of 3 trophies that you'd get without win streaks. So the big tip is, if you lose, make sure to go over to your low trophy brawlers. If you're in a team still or just on your own, you just play randoms, at least have 1 low trophy brawler. Just farm that brawler, get 5 wins with that brawler, and then go back onto your high trophy brawler. The reason why you do this is just so every single game you win, you're gaining like 9 trophies, 8 trophies, when you're supposedly earning 4 trophies or 3 trophies. You get what I mean? It's just so easy to gain trophies this way. Just abuse win streaks, especially because they're getting fixed with the update. You want to do this as quickly as possible. Moving on to the final point, and you'll hear me talk about this a lot, is to abuse the meta as much as possible. So it doesn't matter when you're watching this video. Right now though, Mo and Kenji are just so broken, and you need to abuse them. And the good thing is, there's not going to be any balance changes for at least probably like 3 weeks. We're not getting balance changes until after the World Finals. We're not getting it with the update. So we know that Mo and Kenji in particular, 2 best brawlers in the game, they're not going to receive any nerfs. So just push them as much as possible before they receive some big nerfs in a couple of weeks. But again, they're just free rank 35s. The reason being is because the best brawlers in the game, they hardly have any bad matchups. And when brawlers like Mo and Kenji are this good, they don't actually take much skill to play. So you just see everybody just pushing Mo and Kenji just to abuse how good they are. And why wouldn't you do it, essentially? Because it's a free rank 35. We rewind back a year. I literally pushed Larry and Laurie to rank 35 with randoms. That's how broken they were. And you just need to do it. And you've got enough time to do it right now. So, yeah, I know it's a pretty boring point. And it's very simple. But you just need to play these brawlers. Mo has no bad matchups. Kenji takes a little bit of getting used to. But with the green button. And overall, he's just completely broken. So just push them on Gem Grab, Brawl Ball, anything, the new game modes. And it's just free trophies. Trust me, you're missing out if you don't abuse these as quickly as possible. So that's going to be it for today's video, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time.